Dobrý deň, dámy a páni.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to our press conference after mutual meeting of the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Roberto Fico, and the Secretary of State of the US, Marco Rubio. So, Prime Minister, please, you have the word. Thank you. Dear Secretary of State, dear Marco Rubio, please allow me to welcome you once again, you and your whole delegation, to Bratislava and our Office of the Government of the Slovak Republic. Dear ladies, dear gentlemen, we had a shared short tete-a-tete meeting with Secretary of State, and then we had delegations discussion where we went into details, where we discussed topics that are the point of our today's meeting. I'll try to briefly sum up the conclusions of our discussions, be it in four eyes or, let's say, in our meeting of delegations. First of all, I deeply appreciate the fact that this visit comes quickly after our meeting in Florida, where I had a chance to speak with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, with Mr. Rubio being present. So it's a great follow-up and great continuation. And after a short while, when we met in Florida, we could discuss how much we achieved during those few weeks about topics we discussed. And the most important thing about today's meeting, dear Secretary of State, I consider the following thing, and that is our mutual respect. I mentioned that I'm a representative of the government that wants to do sovereign Slovak foreign policy in all four corners of the world. And I also underline the fact that my crucial priority is not to defend national and state interests of others, but my basic obligation is to protect national and state obligations and interests of the Slovak Republic. And I believe it's correct understanding that anywhere where our interests meet, we act as allies, and in areas where we have different opinions, we have to negotiate and find a suitable solution. I think I'm one of the politicians who are sincere in our discussions, and I do everything possible to speak what I say in private meetings and also say the same things in public. So allow me to say a few conclusions based on our agreement with the Secretary of State. Slovakia cares about our cooperation with the US in the area of nuclear energy. 13th February, the intergovernmental agreement went into power. Agreement between Slovakia and the US regarding cooperation in the area of nuclear energy. I informed the Secretary of State about the current status of things. We are deeply interested under auspices of the US partner to create a multinational consortium which would guarantee the fact that Slovakia could build another nuclear block until 2040 with a power of 1,200 megawatts. And we'd be happy if it would be possible to sign a specific agreements with Westinghouse in the span of the following year. And I also asked our American partners regarding cooperation in those different levels of preparation of this project, because it's a project that goes above Slovakia. It concerns the whole European Union, and because of that we will have to have intensive discussions with our European partners, and because of that we need cooperation and help of our American partners. When we were speaking about energy, I also informed the Secretary of State about what's going on in this region regarding gas and oil. I'm not going too deep, or I will not get into details, but I can state that Slovakia, as a country that has always been at the beginning of any pipeline, be it gas or oil, ended up at their end. We are truly in a not so good situation because of ideological and bad decisions of European Union. I'm mentioning Repower EU, which stops flow of any sort of gas from East to Europe, and in our case from 1st November 2027. Together, we're looking for potential alternatives and solutions, and I believe that tomorrow's meeting with the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán can show us a solution to this crisis situation that is undergoing in relation to supplies of oil and gas to refineries under control of a Hungarian company MOL. Third company is, of course, related to the war in Ukraine. There, in this regard, Slovakia has its unique and unrepeatable positions that do not always reflect the positions of our European partners in the EU, but that's our openness and directness. And that's the implementation of the sovereign foreign policy in all four corners of the world. I clearly and openly told my opinion to the Secretary of State about how we perceive the military conflict. And we think it's going to continue for a certain period of time. We see no peace solutions in short period of time. And I offered Slovakia as a country which understands the language in Ukraine and the Russian Federation, as a country which has good intelligence services, as a country which is a neighbor of Ukraine, to exchange opinions about this topic. And, dear Secretary, I want to praise the approach of your President, because it's an approach of a person who's pragmatic and rational and wants to end this war as soon as possible. We also consider it as senseless, pointless, and if Slovakia can be of help in any peace initiatives that could bring this war to end, we're totally ready for it. Dear ladies, dear gentlemen, I would like to inform you that from 1st July 2026, Slovakia will chair the presidency of a truly unique structure of regional cooperation, and that is V4, Visegrad Group. I would like to confirm the words of the Secretary of State that this organization should be used not only for regional cooperation, but we should think of invitation of partners, which in regard to current topics that may be relevant. We spoke about this briefly. If after the 1st of July 2026 we'll have a topic where it would be of use to have the US join the V4, and the partners in the V4 would agree on this, we'll be ready to organize such event. I say this in the name of Slovakia, V4 plus the US, and the basic questions of the international cooperation, energy cooperation, we are interested in this. Of course, we also exchange opinions about lots of different topics. And I would like to just add that we are a member state of NATO. We are partners in the North Atlantic Alliance. We understand the stance of the US that Europe has to take care of its security more. And I think it's clear that in Europe we speak about increasing expenditures on our defense. It's a natural development of things, and because of that we spoke about a topic in regards to how to continue with our budgets. Perhaps in the following years we, of course, have to take care, we have to pay attention to our obligations, but if Slovakia wants to be a member of collective security in Europe and NATO, we have to participate also in improving and strengthening our capacities. I would like to ask for understanding in the area of the fact that we want to do projects of dual use based on military budgets. For example, a good example is a military hospital which is being built in the eastern part of Slovakia near Ukraine border. We'll continue our military cooperation. You know that we procured fighter jets F-16 from the US. there's an interest to increase numbers.
The V4. It is something we are eager to engage with as a forum in which we can find areas where we can work together and achieve cooperation. You mentioned something else which I don't know why it ever became controversial, but it's important to remind everybody of. It is the view of the President of the United States, President Trump, and of the United States under his presidency, that we expect every country in the world, to act in their national interest. That is what countries are supposed to do. That is what the leaders of their countries are. I don't know why that is like a strange consideration. The fact of the matter is we view policy the exact same way. Now, when our national interests are aligned, when the national interests of the United States, for example, and the national interests of Slovakia are aligned, this is an extraordinary opportunity for cooperation and for partnership. Where there might be some misalignment, well, that's where the relationship comes in. That's where the partnership comes in. That's where we try to accommodate one another and find a way forward. There's nothing controversial about that, at least not as long as President Trump is in the White House. And we believe that within the area of common alignment, there are so many things we can work on together that are good for your country, good for our country, but frankly, good for Europe and good for the world. I also appreciate your input with regards to the war in Ukraine. It is important that we take as many viewpoints. Your viewpoint, and the viewpoint that you've expressed both to me and publicly as well, is one that's informed by both your geography and by your history. And it's a very important point of view to take into account in the broader context. As I said yesterday, in response to some questions in Munich, we view the United States' role as one of trying to facilitate an end to a very deadly, very bloody, very, very costly war with horrible suffering. What's happening in Kyiv right now is horrifying. You know, people in the coldest part of the year, not going without electricity and energy. This is nothing positive about that. The death, regardless of what the numbers are on both sides, way too high. And the president has spent a year at the highest levels of our government trying to find whether we can be facilitators of a negotiated end to this terrible conflict. And it is something that we care about, but it is something you live next door to. You're on the border. You're right there. You face, and not only do you have to face the consequences of the war, but you also have to face the benefits or the consequences of the peace. And so we appreciate your input in that regard. We talked about a lot of things we have an opportunity to work together on. Energy is one of them. I think you have an opportunity as a nation, not just because you can generate energy, to also be in a very advantageous role when it comes to new technologies like artificial intelligence as an example. It's an opportunity there. There's a very energy-dependent industry, and so it's something we can work together on. We're always talking about military sales, and this is important. We're very happy that the F-16 program is your program of choice. We hope you'll consider some others as well that we can work together on, because apart from one of the key components of any country's national interest is the ability to protect their people. There is no more important obligation of any government than the ability to protect your own people and your own nation. This is why, by the way, we talk about the importance of our partners having capabilities in NATO. Every time we say this, people, they go crazy. They think, oh, that means you're going to abandon NATO, you're going to abandon your allies. I think the point we're making is that the stronger our allies are, the stronger we are collectively. The stronger we are collectively. And so we want to play a positive role in that regard, and you're doing many good things in that space, and we want to thank you and want to continue to work with you on that. So there are many things that we have an opportunity to work together on, but first, thank you for receiving me here on a Sunday, and I try never to burden people on Sundays. It's an important day for me because of my faith, and I know for many of you as well, but I thank you for opening this space to us on this day, because we wanted to show, and we are showing, and we are going to show in the weeks and months and years to come, that under President Trump, this administration is going to make not just Slovakia, but Central Europe, a key component of how we engage the continent and the world. And that we are not just going to engage in meetings and pleasantries, but in concrete actions that we will take together in ways that are beneficial to your people and our people, in ways that are beneficial to your country and our country. I'm very excited about this opportunity. I know the President is as well. That's why I'm here. When did we meet? It wasn't too long ago. It was just a few weeks ago.
Yes, a few weeks.
A few weeks, and here we are. So, and we'll be back, and we'll be sending others back. And I think some members of your team are going to be coming to Washington this week to have a conversation. So you're going to get used to seeing us, and you're going to get used to dealing with us, because we're very happy